Hey, welcome to the Seats to Streets YouTube channel. I am so glad you're here. We are moving season 2 of the podcast online for you to be a part of visually and audibly as well. I am your host, J.R. Horn. Beside me is my co-host, Brian Gorman, and we are glad you're here. If you want to know what Seats to Streets is all about, it's about this. Everything that we do, we want to give you the tools, ministers, church staff, missions teams, high-capacity volunteers. We want to give you the tools to move your people from Sunday morning seats to local and global streets. This guy over here is an expert at systems, at structure, how to think through vision, how to think through strategy, and really map out the direction of how your church can go from good to great. That's why I'm all off, but that's why Brian Gorman is always on the podcast with me visually and through your ears on Apple Podcast as well. So Brian, I'm so glad you're with us, man.
Hey, I'm glad to be here too, because I love having these conversations. And yet being in a local church, as I have been now for over 2 decades, I can talk a lot about systems and structures and show how they've worked within one particular context or a couple different contexts. But you get the opportunity to be in all sorts of churches to be able to take what I know in my world sometimes comes about a bit concise. Let's go with the word concise. And you're able to turn it into something that's going to be a bit more pastoral in nature, to be able to be usable across multiple churches and multiple environments, to maybe soften some of the edges to the harshness and directness that I tend to speak with. And that's what makes what we're doing so valuable, because we can take some of these resources, some of these tools that we can prove work in multiple environments, but help you find different ways to be able to present them and share them within your context, maybe to your lead senior minister, maybe from the senior and lead minister down into other teams, working within your elders, and be able to present it in a way that people go, we can make that happen. We can together move people from the Sunday morning seats to the local and global streets.
Yeah, it is so fun to be able to work with ministers like Brian, other ministers that we've interviewed back on season 1. I get the privilege to be in other church contexts, to walk in as a pastor to pastors, but also as a coach to pastors, and to be able to take everything that we're doing and to say, this is how we can all do this better. This is all how we can go from good to great, to use a famous leadership line. In season 1, we've had a past of experts that were on the episodes with us. Season 1 was all on audio. It was all through Google Podcasts, and it was all through Apple Podcasts. We got to be able to interview local ministers that are in the Louisville, Kentucky area. I'm based out of Louisville, Kentucky. That guy's up in Wisconsin. But our number one listened to podcast, Brian, of season 1 was a podcast on how to change your church culture with my friend Matt Craig up in Scottsburg, Indiana. And it's been fantastic. I know you've gotten to talk with Matt a little bit, right?
Oh, Matt's brilliant. And what I love about that is it speaks to the fact that every church I've ever been in, they want to see something improve within their culture. Now, for some churches, they want to blow the thing to pieces and start over. And for others, they just like, hey, we just need a couple of steps to help get us started. We know we're going down the right path. There's just a few pieces that are out of alignment. And it's great to be able to hear from not just me walking through my systems and structures and these things, but also how other guys within their local context have utilized that, so that you as the listener have the ability to take that information and go, I can use this within my context. I can, retranslate it within my world and know how to carry this stuff out in a way that helps you continue to move forward and continue to improve your leadership, continue to improve your culture, and continue to see more and more people come to know Jesus, both within your local context and around the world within mission and other benevolent needs.
Yeah, I think with season 1 in the past year of church coaching, one of the things that I would say that's the biggest need for pastors that I've walked into in my environments of one-on-one coaching pastors, one of the biggest needs is helping them determine their next step. I've noticed when I walk into a church, I'm not the expert. The expert would be Brian. That would be you at your church. It'd be Matt at his church. It'd be the lead pastor or the missions pastor or the missions team. They're the expert. I'm coming in with the questions. I'm coming in with the ability to hear from a global perspective and kind of throw all that on the whiteboard, and let's do our keep, kill, combine exercise to figure out where we're supposed to go. And I know Brian, from, I don't know about you, but our season one, that really stood out to me as going, our pastors, you guys really know what you want to do, but you have to have so many proficiencies. Like someone told me the other day, it was like 68 proficiencies that a pastor has to be proficient in something. And there's so much going on that it's hard to determine the next step. And Brian, I think that's one of the things that Seats to Streets is all about, is partnering with churches to figure out their next step in order to move people from Sunday morning seats to local and global streets.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be key. And I hope that people will be able to feel that as they walk through some of these things with us, that what we're going to do is give you a blueprint for how to go have these conversations so you can find what to do within your context. I think we've all set in on different people have said, and here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of exactly how it worked in my setting. But I don't know how to take that into my context, or they give you the final product. But the reality is there was a lot of research and development before we got to the final product within each individual context. And our hope is to give you what's the next step, what's the next meeting, what's the next conversation, what's the next question you need to ask in order to get to the kind of conclusions you want to get to have the culture you want, to have the heart you want, and to continue to see your church more and more transformed into the likeness of Jesus.
Absolutely. And you're already hitting on a lot of season 2 topics that we've already got lined up for this season, and it's fantastic. We can't wait to bring you a weekly video or a weekly podcast if you're listening to us through your earbuds in your car on the way to the church, or you're watching online, hopefully not in the car on your way to the church. But we want to bring you a weekly podcast episode where we get to have these same conversations. Sometimes it won't be Brian over there. It'll be someone else that I get to interview and to be able to hear what's going on in their church, their culture, their process, whatever they're doing to move people from Sunday morning seats to local and global streets. But we also want to have a little fun. Brian, I don't. We just got done. We're actually off the camera. Brian and I were talking about some cultural statements or some cultural identity, organizational identities of our organizations or healthy organizations moving forward. And one of the things that I really latched onto was this cultural grasping of fun. Like we want to make sure what we're doing is fun. That's my personality. And so Brian, I got some really cool stuff. I haven't told you a lot of this, but I got some pretty cool stuff lined up for us on each episode. We're going to have some fun, like our top 3 lists, top 3 things that we find either it's goofy or something that is directly applicable for a pastor or a church to be able to have, like top 3 social media apps to have on your phone, or top 3 here you go, top 3 mechanical pencils, because I know you have a top 3 mechanical pencils, right? And there's one next to you.
And now I've moved to fountain pens.
See, there you go. See, we're gonna have some fun with that. We're also gonna have we're gonna sprinkle in a little bit of what's Brian smoking. Let that sink a little bit. Food.
It's a food based. Yeah,
food.
A little clarity moment.
Brian has a prolific background when it comes to smoked meats, so we're going to have a little fun with that. We're going to throw in some bad church tweets because we've all been there. We're going to throw in some shocking sermon topics, maybe so that you don't use them in your next sermon series or something like that. But we just want to live life together. We want to make sure we give you the resources so that you can be strategic and intentional with your local and global missions, how you're making disciples, and what are you doing to grow the name of Jesus and build the kingdom and send harvest workers into the harvest field. That's really what we want to do, and we want to make sure we're having fun with it and approachable to it. So Brian, I'm excited for season 2. What are there other topics that you're bringing to the table that you're excited about as well?
Big things for me are being able to help every church be able to say, are we all on the same page about what we're trying to accomplish, whether that be what we're trying to accomplish within our local church context, what we're trying to accomplish around the world. And so a lot of what I hope to do is be able to bring some good clarity conversations to that, be able to help you really define the culture you have and the culture you want to have, including the steps to get to that. I want to help you have really effective, I know it's going to sound strange, I want to help people have really effective meetings because wow, those can be just so unbelievably miserable. But when they're good, they can be so life-giving. And so you'll find a lot of what we talk about is how to have specific meetings on specific topics. Want to be able to give you some of that so you can walk in really looking like a champion, like like what the agenda is, how to have that conversation, and truly be able to lead a good discussion. This is something I've been working on a lot lately myself, even within some of our preaching and teaching right now, is becoming a better interviewer, because you can gain so much wisdom and insight. So I want to be able to help you with a lot of those things. That's going to be a real core for me over the course of our time together, and just can't wait to see you guys not only watching, but participating, adding questions, adding thoughts into what's going on, adding to the comments, sharing, subscribing, and all those other great things.
Right. So here's what we want you to do. In order to make sure that you are notified every time of an episode that we publish to this YouTube channel, I want you to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. What that does is it'll send a notification through your YouTube app that somebody from Seats to Streets just published a video or that they're going live. We want to make sure you are equipped with the tools you need. And so that's one of the tools that you need in your pocket. Bring it up on your phone, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, or if you're on your computer, you can do that right there. But then we also want you to comment and to be able to interact back and forth. We're not some stuffy people that just want to drop this because we're cool internet celebrities. I mean, you guys knew us before you watched this, right? I mean, you've heard of me from the internet. No, we're not. We're not that at all. We just want to create this family of growing the church together and being disciple makers who make disciples. So comment back. So here's your call for today, for this video. As we're going into season 2, we have a lot of season 2 scripted, but we left a lot of it unscripted because we want to hear from you. If there are topics that you want us to explore, or things that you want us to go out and learn about and bring back, or even do the research on from our network of churches to bring here to the channel, comment that below in the comments. Just drop in what are some of the things that you're curious about learning, so that you can improve the culture, you can improve the disciple making, or even your local and global missions at your church. And for more Seats to Streets info, right down below, you see the ticker going. You can go to our website, seatstostreets.com. And if you click on the Let's Connect tab in the upper left-hand corner, you can fill out the dialog box. That alerts you, gets you on our email list, so that we can even send you an email too that says, hey, new videos have dropped, new blog content has dropped, new events are posted in your area. We want to make sure that you are connected for sure. So head over to seatstostreets.com and check that out. All right. We'll see you on the next video.